episode of America's Mayor Live with America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani, and a very special guest. Mayor, I am going to give it to you.
Well, thank you very much, Ted. I have with me a very good friend of mine. She's become a very good friend of Dr. Maria's and I, and you'll see why she'd be your very good friend too if you met her. This is a very, very wonderful, charming, intelligent, and good woman, Madeline Brain. But Madeline had a terrible tragedy in her life, and rather than let that consume her, as could easily be the case with many people, none of us would judge if it did, she wants to use that to help other people. So she started a very, very short period of time, very powerful and active group called the Victims' Rights Reform Council. She brought together many other people in a circumstance like her. She's a mother who lost her child. When I say that, I think everybody's heart misses a beat, right? I'm going to let Madeline tell her story because no one tells it better than her. This I should emphasize, because it's going to sound like it was yesterday, but because of the terrible lack of a criminal justice system we have in New York, we're going back to 2018, Madeline, aren't we?
Yes. Yes.
So Madeline, we'll get into your background, his background, but tell us the kind of story of what happened to your son, who was among other things a sergeant in the military.
Yes. 2018, my son, Sergeant Hassan Korea, Afghanistan War retired veteran, was murdered in Harlem by 4 people he did not know, nor had he done them any harm. Hassan was stabbed to death. Hassan was stabbed 9 times by these people. Hassan's father was also, gang assaulted and stabbed 11 times when he tried to come to Hassan's aid. All 4 of these people have been apprehended. They consist of 2 brothers, a sister, and their friend. They're all between the ages, at the time, of 35 and 38 years old. So these are not children that we're talking about. It's not like, a group of young kids that are just, ganging up and gang assaulting people. These are full-grown adults with criminal histories. And anyway, all 4 were apprehended. I'm sorry. All 4 were apprehended and were in Rikers Island. Mary Saunders, the sister, she was the only one given bail. Her bail was set at $750,000. All 4 were charged with first-degree gang assault, second-degree murder. The entire incident was captured on video, high-definition video, so there was no mistaking in who these people are or what they did. Mary had her bail reduced in 2019, right before bail reform, from $750,000 down to $12,000. Mary bailed out of jail on Christmas Eve, 2019.
And that was that after or before Alvin Bragg's election?
That was before Alvin Bragg. Actually, Cyrus Vance was in office at the time, was the Manhattan District Attorney at the time. We had some wonderful veteran ADAs that were handling the case. They worked diligently and they built a strong trial-ready murder case against all 4 of these people.
So they were ready to go to trial.
They were ready.
We're talking about now back in 2019.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They were ready to go to trial against, let's get the name, Mary, James, Christopher, and the last one was
Travis.
Travis.
He's the friend. Yes.
Okay. And what happened?
There were never any plea deals on the table. There were never any offers, never any motions submitted, just trial ready. The case was passed around to several judges who all saw the video and said that it was a heinous, brutal crime, and all 4 are just as culpable as the other. So, and as soon as Alvin Bragg took office, the original ADA retired early, as many of the ADAs that were working in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office at the time quit. They just left in droves because of Alvin's day 1 memo that he was no longer going to be prosecuting crime. So these people quit, all right? And they passed this strong trial-ready murder case onto Alvin Bragg and his new restorative justice, progressive social justice ADAs. And what happened after that is just so unbelievable. They completely dismissed the murder charges against Travis and Mary, all right, and charged Mary with assault with a shoe and sentenced her to 1 year time served after she's on video holding my son, preventing him from escaping from her brother and this butcher knife that he was plunging into my son's body 4 to 6 inches deep.
Now, just to focus on Mary for a moment, because you and I, way back looked at this tape in great detail, and I've prosecuted a lot of cases. Mary, this murder may not have taken place without Mary, because they had really, in a way, worn themselves out fighting, and your son was about to escape.
Yep.
And she's the one who prevented him from doing it.
Yes.
She also held him while he was being stabbed.
Absolutely.
So, and then she pled guilty to what?
Assault with a shoe.
Did she hit him with a shoe at some point?
I don't know if the shoe was in her hand, if she threw the shoe, if she.
But that was the least of what she did.
Yeah.
But she held him while he was being murdered.
Yes.
While they were plunging
the butcher knife.
And let's explain how long.
Yeah.
This was at trial. This was proven at trial.
Yes.
So Madeline is not exaggerating. It's 1 inch.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them how long the knife went in.
Okay. Each stab wound, according to the medical examiner, was 4 to 6 inches deep.
So let's okay.
Yeah. At least. Mm-hmm. A little bit less than that. Actually at trial, the ADA.
That's about halfway through. Yeah. That's about halfway through your body.
Yes, the ADA had a ruler. All right. These wounds were so deep that they went through rib cage. The medical examiner explained it. His 8th rib went into his kidney. Another one went into more ribs underneath and into his lung, and finally went through his whole entire chest cavity into his heart. All right. So the homicidal maniac, James Saunders, who was actually wielding the knife and doing the stabbing. All right. This is MO. He's been doing this, from a young age. And Mary and Christopher, the family said that they didn't know that he had a knife. They didn't know that he used the knife, but they were right inches away from him, winding up and plunging his knife into Hassan's body.
So the 3 of them were brother and siblings.
Yes.
Mary,
James and Christopher.
And James was the one with the butcher's knife.
The butcher.
Professional butcher's knife that can chop up animal bones.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
And did tremendous damage to your son's body.
Yes.
And Christopher and Mary were either punching,
stomping,
hitting Hassan,
kicking,
or holding.
Yes. Along with Travis.
And if one or the other of them had let up, there was a good chance your son could have.
Yes, because he was trying to run.
Yeah.
His back was to them the whole entire time. He was in a defenseless position. He was never a threat to them at all. He couldn't. We're talking 4 people with the butcher knife against 1 person.
And there, right? Mary and Christopher ultimately pled guilty to this deal that Bragg gave them. Basically, a non-murder.
Yes,
charge.
Mary and Travis.
Yes. Excuse me, Mary and Travis. Mm-hmm. And Travis's last name is
Stewart.
So he's the non-relative, but they're friend.
Yes.
And they got what kind of sentence?
Mary got sentenced to 1 year time served. So the 14 months that she served before she bailed out in 2019 is the time that she did. She never went back to
she's free now anytime she wants.
She's free. Actually, she came in and out of the courtroom when, and she testified on her brother's behalf.
And now, and now how about Travis? What happened?
Travis got sentenced to 7 years because he had I think 1 prior. So because of his prior felony, they gave him 7 years.
What was his prior, Ducro?
They wouldn't.
Violent crime?
Part of what bail reform does is it prevents number one, the judge from determining dangerousness and a person's prior
Yeah,
record.
Only state, we should tell the Americans and others listening, it's the only state in the country, New
Yes.
York, and we have
Yes.
some pretty darn liberal states.
Yes,
It's the only state in the country that doesn't allow you to consider dangerous.
exactly. And also, they're not allowed to divulge what their prior record is. The judge cannot consider.
Not just for minors. This is for everybody.
Everybody across the board.
50-year-old,
It's
a
a rule.
30-year-old.
It's a rule. Mhm.
So we don't know if Travis hit somebody in the face or stabbed somebody in the stomach or
Mhm.
shot somebody in the head.
We don't know.
But
We
he
don't
did
know.
something that was a
Yes.
felony and put him in jail.
Yes.
So he got 7 years.
Yes, he got 7 years.
And
So,
he'll
and at
probably
the
do
time,
what, 3?
when the time he was sentenced, he was already in almost 4.
Oh,
So Travis is on his way home. Travis is on his way
in
home
fact, I'm
now.
shocked that
Yeah.
he hasn't. They're probably just waiting a little and they'll let him out right away.
Yeah.
So he'll be back so he can help us just to hold people down when they get killed.
Yeah.
As
Mhm.
soon as possible.
Yes,
Now tell us about the 2 remaining defendants.
the 2 savages.
Yeah, James and Christopher.
Okay, James, repeat predicate violent felony offender. All right, has been in and out of the penitentiary most of his life. He's the one who did a stint in 2011 for the attempted murder on a police officer. And from what I understand, he was out on parole for a few years before he, participated in the murder of Hassan.
So he was convicted of attempted murder of a police
Yes.
officer in 2011.
Yes,
Yet he's available out on the street to kill your son in
In
2018.
2018,
And he had
exactly.
been out, you're telling me, a few years on
Yes,
parole
yes,
before that.
yes.
So he couldn't have done more than 4 or 5 years for
Maybe.
attempting to murder a
A
police
police
officer.
officer.
Now,
Yes.
and that wasn't his first crime.
No,
He
it
had-
wasn't.
But we don't know because they protect him. We don't know how many
Mhm,
crimes he committed.
2. They
Oh,
were
2
allowed
before
to
that?
say 2. They were allowed to, divulge 2 priors.
So what was the other prior for?
It was also
James.
Christopher.
For Christopher.
Christopher, 2 violent felony offenders. So he was sentenced as a predicate persistent,
Okay.
like a 3-time loser. 3
Yeah, he's
strikes.
known as a in criminology. He's known as a career criminal.
Yes.
Which is the subject of a lot of research by
Yes. Mm-hmm.
by James Q. Wilson, and is somebody that basically the 3rd time should just go away forever.
Yeah. Well, he's the one who decided to take the case to trial. He had a trial, and they found him guilty of 2 counts of first-degree gang assault. The count of one against Hassan, and the other one against his father Wesley.
Now, he's not been sentenced yet.
Yes, he was sentenced yesterday
Oh, yes. And his
in
sentence was-
Manhattan Criminal Court. He was sentenced to 20 years to life.
that is to avoid life imprisonment, which
Yes.
is what would have happened
Yes.
had he been convicted of the major count
Yes.
or if he had pled.
And the judge was trying to instruct the jury on what acting in concert to murder really meant. Okay. And according to our penal codes, acting in concert to murder is the same thing as murder in the 2nd degree. All right. And the judge explained that to the jury more than once. And the jury still came back with not guilty for murder in the 2nd degree.
And let's finish up with the final.
Okay.
The final defense.
And James pled guilty to the 1st degree gang assault, 2 counts, and also the 2nd degree murder. So James avoided trial altogether. He just copped out, and the judge promised him 20 to life, and he'll be sentenced on January 10th.
Now, the effectiveness, and do both these people have criminal records?
Yes,
Okay.
James is what they have called a homicidal maniac.
Well, wait a second. They called him a homicidal
A
maniac,
homicidal maniac
and they're going to give him a sentence that
of
allows him,
20 years.
which means he'll be out
Yeah.
at 7 or 8, maybe less.
You want to read this?
Right?
I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, that's about right.
With this elder parole,
No, he may be out even. James will be in your neighborhood pretty soon.
But
So-
Mary's already out, walking around.
Mary and her brother's already out.
Travis
Travis will be out very
yeah,
soon.
very soon.
And
Right
now,
back
and
on the
now,
same
and,
corner in front of the same liquor store.
and then it comes time to sentence. I mean, to determine when Christopher gets out. And we have to imagine with the parole being what it is.
Yeah.
If he does,
10 years.
oh my God, he won't do 10 years. He'll do less than 10. So now,
You think he'll do less than
So now, of course he will.
Oh God.
Of course he will. I mean, these people will commit crimes until the day they die, or the day they're put away for life. Now, and your son, unfortunately, you know, in the middle of their career, met up with them, which is a tragedy. But the point here that you're trying to accomplish, Mary, is what?
What I'm trying to accomplish is you take a life, do life. There should be no plea deals. There should be no bargaining. There should be no downgrading of charges once someone is, you know, charged and indicted for murder and you have the evidence. Take those cases to trial and let a jury decide their innocence or guilt. Alvin Bragg should not get to play judge, jury, and God, especially when you're talking about murder, all right? And I'm not the only one. In the past several weeks, there have been many stories in the paper, all right, that, you know, murder charges have been downgraded and the people are pleading guilty to manslaughter and attempted this and attempted that, but nobody's taking responsibility for this dead body. And this is another way that they're manipulating the data.
So could we, since you are, and I don't want to take advantage of this in any way, if I do anything wrong, tell me and don't answer the question.
Okay.
But I mean, very, very often, these left-wingers, particularly, I'm going to say white liberals, will say, oh, the criminal justice system is so unfair to black people. They shouldn't be put in jail. They should all be taken out of jail. Now, you did you grow up in Harlem?
I lived in Harlem for a while. I grew up in Suffolk County, Long Island.
So tell us from your perspective, as a black woman, is that a correct assessment of how a large percentage of black women or black men feel? They want these people out of jail?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You'd have to be insane. You'd have to be absolutely insane to want that. All right. Even, let me tell you something. Even the mothers whose children that they know are out there getting in trouble, they would rather get a call from them from Rikers Island than a call from the detective telling them which morgue to go to identify their child's body. All right?
Of course.
So that's basically, you know, what we're dealing with here. You know, this is something that is not external. This is not something that is influencing our community. Like, you know, the police are killing people and, you know, the system this and racism that. This is something that is the thinking, the attitude, and the behavior of the people that live in these communities. Until Black lives stop mattering to Black people, okay? And until we can stop being afraid to say, stop Black on Black crime, okay? Say it to each other with conviction, with love, all right? It will never change. It will never stop because we're the ones who are doing this to ourselves. We're self-decimating. I'm not saying that there are not some factors that are in place that play into it, but there are millions of us who come from these same environments that do not, do not end up in a life of crime. We're law-abiding, decent, tax-paying, voting citizens that try to do the best we can on a daily basis to take care of our children. We want to be able to walk outside without having to duck bullets.
Mary, that's a brilliant statement and a beautiful statement from the heart. And I hope most people that listen to that, without our having to go take a poll or whatever, this is the majority of the Black community. This is the majority of the white community, the Hispanic community, the Asian community. How about the human community?
That's right.
Black, whites, we're all humans. This is the way. When you are disproportionately the victim of murder, this is the way you're going to feel to protect yourself.
Exactly. You know, exactly.
And the only thing we can do for her wonderful son, who served his country in the military, so that his useless death becomes something useful is to use it as a strong piece of evidence of why we have to change this.
Exactly.
If we change it, we'll save lives.
That's right. You know?
Right? I mean, if we take one of these murderers, we put them in jail for life, we've probably saved 7 or 8 lives. Because in their career, they're going to kill 7 or 8 people, maybe more.
More. Or they'll rack up so many victims, you know, until they finally do kill someone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I said this yesterday, right, in court, that when I gave my victim impact statement at the sentencing of Christopher Saunders, the only thing that these policies have accomplished, all right, I'm talking about bail reform, raise the age, okay, elder parole, all this other crap, okay, the only thing that is accomplished is to create a whole new generation of career criminals and mass incarceration.
Oh, yes.
That's all it's done. All right. And
Yes.
anybody who thinks it's a good idea is absolutely out of their mind.
You know, yesterday it just so happens that I met a couple from Rochester, New York. Now, what Mary and I are talking about has been a New York City problem for 50 years. I believe that I helped to solve it for a period of time, along with Mike Bloomberg. We had a long period of being the safest large city in America per capita. That's changed now. We're not the most dangerous, by the way. It gets worse in New York, but we're pretty darn bad. Rochester has been destroyed. That was a beautiful American city. They decided to experiment with defund the police. Black Lives Matter got control of them. They got a Soros DA like Bragg is, and a wacky mayor. Between the three of them, in 1 year, Rochester went to the most murders in its history. And this year they're exceeding that. And people are leaving Rochester. You know, they're running out of Rochester because they're getting killed there. For them, it's like culture shock. It's never happened before. We have a history in New York and in the New York area of dealing with this crime thing. It's terrible. But because these laws affect the entire state. And let's name names. This is Andrew Cuomo, Hochul.
That's right.
Originally de Blasio.
Yep.
And now Bragg.
Cyrus
Vance before him, who wasn't much better.
Darcel Clark.
These are the human beings who support this.
Yes.
Their contribution to public service is increasing the number of people that are murdered.
That's right.
What a thing to do.
That's right. You know, and then the data can be easily manipulated by doing what they did in my son's murder case. There are 4 people who participated in that murder, and they dismissed the murder charges against 2. All right. And that's what they're doing across the board. They're downgrading the murder charges so it won't look like the murder rate is so high. But at the end of the day, we still have a dead body that nobody's responsible for.
And Mary, of course, murder is the worst crime and violent crime is the worst. But you have no idea what they're doing to property crime.
Exactly.
So auto theft is up over 1,000%. That means there's just about no car that's safe in New York City. Property crimes, we see night after night, 5 people walk into a big store. They walked into an Apple store a couple of nights ago, and they grabbed all the Apple telephones.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the security guard
just
probably. So I told people to stop. One big guy, a customer, wanted to break in.
Yeah.
He grabbed and said, "No, not worth it." So this is like 20 riots all over again every day. They go in, they take what they want, they come out, and now we have a lawless society.
Exactly.
And many of those people become murderers ultimately. So this has to stop. And the only way it's going to stop, unfortunately, is if we take situations like Mary's. We have more Marys who are pardon? Madeline. No, Madeline. I'm thinking of Maria. I'm sorry. Madeline. Oh, Madeline, I love you. But Madeline, if we have more people like Madeline, because she's done a lot. I got to tell you, this organization she's put together already has done a lot. But it can't be just Madeline and me and a few other people. And you get the people. So
it's going to take a village. It's going to take a village. It's going to take people right from the Black and brown communities, all right, who have been directly affected by, this lawlessness. You said the word lawlessness,
Yeah.
and who are just sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And don't just talk about it, but be about it. And it's going to start with each person, all right? Each one teaching one, and not being afraid to hurt people's feelings. There's a way you can say things and you give tough love, because that's what we need. We need tough love. We need somebody who's going to be honest about what's really going on and be honest with one another about it. That's what it's going to take.
Could you tell us how his father is doing?
Well, Wesley, still
his father's
Wesley Correa, yes. Wesley has healed physically, but I'm sure that he will never be okay, mentally or emotionally. And plus, he was not even able to come and testify at trial because the doctor diagnosed him with memory loss because of the he got hit in the head with a bottle, and he also got punched in the head at the same time. So he lost his memory.
So it did physical and emotional damage, not just emotional.
That's his son.
And his son died, and he lives with the fact that I should have been able to help him because he couldn't. He got hit. He got blindsided.
And when he tried to come and help,
and he's a big man.
Yeah, he's 6'5".
So he could have made a difference.
Yeah, he could have.
Which is probably why they took him out. If you think about it,
get rid of him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, this was not these were in a certain way skilled murder. I mean, they knew what they were doing.
Exactly, because even when James was stabbing Wesley, he was going for the same body shots that he went, that he successfully, did on Hassan and killed him. All right. But Wesley got stabbed in the same exact places that Hassan did. So James is a professional with the knife.
Talk about why you have to leave your apartment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thanks for joining us. So
we're going to talk about why she has to leave her apartment.
Yes.
Yes. So as we wind down here, why don't you, in closing, let folks know how they can support you and help you at this time.
But before we get to that, tell us why you had to leave your apartment.
Well, currently I have to. I'm living in a situation where it's not safe. It's dangerous for my health. Number one, we have black mold. We have mold, we have rotting sewer pipes that I've been inhaling these fumes. Me and my puppy, Coco, all right, have been inhaling these fumes for the past 4 years. I notice it in my breathing. Anyway, I have to move from there. Also, on my commute to work every day, I am forced to ride on these death trap subways to and from work every day. All right. So where I got approved for this apartment at is located outside of the city. All right. It's in a nice, quiet area. It's senior housing, 55 and over housing. It's brand new. It's perfect for me and Coco, and that's all it is, and unfortunately, my finances are not what they need to be. And I have a GoFundMe page. It's Madeline Brain GoFundMe. I'm the organizer of it. And I'm trying to raise $3,000 by tomorrow. I'm halfway there. All right. Tomorrow I go and sign my lease and get my keys. But I need the 1 month's rent and the 1 month security. The rent will be $14.32 a month. So that I would need about $3,000.
So tell people what to do.
Can you please go to my GoFundMe page and please donate any amount? I don't care, $5, $10, $20, $100. Every little dollar will help me meet my goal by tomorrow. My appointment's at 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. So I really appreciate you guys, for taking interest and tuning in and listening to my story.
And before we go, how can they follow, or where can they reach you at social media if they want to follow your story and continue to follow this?
Okay.
Twitter handle, Instagram.
I'm the chairwoman of Victims' Rights Reform Council. I can be reached at www.victimsrightsreformcouncil.org. I'm also the state director of Blexit, New York. So you can reach me at blexitnewyork.com, or you can go to my name, Madeline Brain. On Facebook, Twitter, it's Brain_Madeline. On Twitter and Instagram is just my name.
Madeline, that I'm overwhelmed by your story, and I'm overwhelmed for two reasons. Because I know you, have come to really love you, and consider you a really, really good friend and just a wonderful person. So there's the personal part of it, but there's also the knowledge that this is not the only person suffering from this in New York and in America. And the worst kind of suffering is needless suffering. We all have to go through in life terrible things that happen. They happen because of nature. They happen because of accidents. They happen because of the will of God. We don't have to go through needless murders that we've inflicted on ourselves by the political choices we've made. We can do something about that. And this woman has the courage to do something about it. So help her, join her. Only you and I, who have not suffered this, or at least I haven't, right? Suffered other things, but not this. We just don't have quite the credibility that she has on this. We can add to it by being with her. But I'm telling you, she and mothers in her position and fathers in their position can really move the debate here. So we see the common sense of this. I mean, this makes no sense. This makes no sense to say you're trying to relieve a community of discrimination and then allow them to get slaughtered because you won't face up to what has to be done. I mean, it's just the opposite. The racists are the ones who are not doing anything.
We have people asking in our comment section, it's a live comment section, Madeline, if you could spell out again how they can help you. People want to help you.
Okay. Please, I have a GoFundMe page, and I need $3,000.
What is the GoFundMe page?
The GoFundMe page is called Madeline Brain.
Spell the last
My
name.
name.
They're asking.
Spell your name.
Madelin like Nancy E, BRAM like Mary E.
And we'll put that in the section below. But they go to GoFundMe
Madeline Brain.
and search for Madeline Brame.
Yes.
And they will find you.
Yes.
That is how you can help Madeline Brame this evening. We'll put this information in our comment section.
Thank you so much.
She is such a good person we've gotten to know. Please, if you can, support Madeline. If you can just spell it out one more time.
BRAME.
And the first MADE.
LIN like Nancy E. That's it.
Excellent.
Just kind of hold that there, Mayor, for a second. That's how you spell her name if you want to help her. Such an incredible person. If you can just help and anything you can give, it's so important at this time that we support people like this who are willing to stand up and speak out and won't be silenced. These are the exact type of people we need to be helping and supporting because they won't be silenced. And what's been done to them is unacceptable. So please, if you can, go to GoFundMe, Madeline Brame.
And join me in making a contribution.
And join America's Mayor in supporting just such a good person.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for listening and stay involved in this, whether you're in her circumstances, meaning you have children who are at risk or in situations like this. This affects all of us. It brings us together as human beings, as Americans. It affects all of us. And it's the way that you bring, it's the way in which you bridge racial divisions. Because these are the things we agree about, you know? I mean, we agree. I found as mayor of New York City, when I first assigned more police officers to Harlem, some of the civil rights, I don't know what you want to call them, Al Sharpton and people like that, criticized me terribly for putting so many police there. And I went to Harlem to a meeting in one of the developments, one of the housing developments, and I expected Madeline I was going to get beaten up by particularly the women, because they told me they had a poll, 80% of the black people that were against it. But I went there to try to explain it to them. You know what they were angry about? I didn't put enough police. They were angry that I didn't put enough police.
It's the complete opposite of what,
and I said,
of what the community is being told.
I said, well, how about this poll? I said, poll? They never polled.
They never polled anything.
They never polled that. I never got. One lady said it. I know they're constantly taking polls here. Nobody here has ever been called.
Nobody knows nothing about it.
What do you think Al Sharpton really does an honest poll? The one said to me, Mr. Mayor, you were a great lawyer and a very smart man. Do you really think Al Sharpton takes an honest poll? I guess
Now,
not.
do you have words of wisdom for the community about watching their kids
Absolutely.
being involved.
Absolutely. You know, instead of, I'm not going to sit here and say that I win any Mother of the Year awards, right? I have 5 children, 4 of them are boys. All right. One thing I encourage all the mothers to do is stop trying to be a friend to your child and be a parent to your child. These kids need tough love. You know, stop trying to give them everything they want. Because once you find yourself in a position where you can't give it to them, they're going to go out there and do whatever they need to do to get it. They're going to take it from someone. You know, so we are creating these young people that we see out of control. Whatever they see, if they see mama twerking, they're going to twerk. If they see mama with the hair and the nails and the eyelashes, that's what they're going to do. The children are a reflection of us. Whatever we pour into them, that's what we're going to get out of them. So that's my words of wisdom. You know, it begins and ends within the 4 walls of the home.
Madeline, that was, again, you can see why this woman is so valuable in being able to deal with the real substance of these issues that we politicize. And I don't know what we do with it. What we do is highly irresponsible. So please, once again, and support her organization as well. Huh? I mean, she's very special. She can be on again. We're going to keep up with this. This is a case that, again, we can use to illustrate thousands of others. Yes. And I emphasize, not just murder, not just violent, but property crime. Property crime is also very important because, honestly, it leads to violent crime. Where you have property crime for a long enough time, all of a sudden you're going to have as much violent crime. I've been at this for 50 years. I know what I'm talking about. And I know how to bring it down. So God bless you, Madeline. Have a Merry Christmas. Despite what you're going through, Jesus has a plan here.
Hopefully, I'm in my new apartment by Christmas.
Well, I think Jesus has a plan for
and
that.
I can breathe some fresh air.
He doesn't want you to be. He doesn't want you to be in a manger. He wants you to be nice and warm. Right? Unlike he was, he wants you to be nice and warm.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless all of you, and God bless
you.
America, and God bless
Happy holidays.
Madeline. Let's also say a prayer for her. But you know, a little money would help too.
Yes, it would.